BBC News with Sue Montgomery. A Brazilian parliamentary inquiry has recommended that President Jair Bolsonaro face a series of charges, including crimes against humanity, over his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. The report charged the government with deliberately exposing Brazilians to infection by acting slowly. Mr. Bolsonaro has insisted that he is guilty of nothing. Here's Katie Watson.
Every single bit of what the government did or didn't do has been unpicked and analysed, and I think it's just the breadth of it, really, that has been so astounding. What's interesting, though, is overnight, the serious crimes of indigenous genocide and mass homicide, they've been dialed back, they've been taken out of the draft report, but nevertheless there are still serious crimes against humanity, misuse of public funds. What's still being looked at is the fact that the government, by doing nothing or not enough, was still responsible for the deaths of far more people than there needed to have been, and I think that is something that he could still face many years in prison if this ever gets to that point, and that's something that they're pushing for.
In Britain, where daily COVID infections are by far the highest in Europe, the Health Secretary has rejected calls to reintroduce restrictions in England. Sajid Javid said infections might rise to 100,000 a day. They're already at more than 40,000. He said if people did not get vaccinated and didn't wear face coverings, he'd reintroduce mask mandates and order people to work from home. Allies of the jailed Russian opposition activist Alexei Navalny have hailed the decision of the European Parliament to award him its top human rights prize. One, Leonid Volkov, said winning the Sakharov Prize meant Navalny was the #1 political prisoner in the world. He said it also showed the fight against corruption was a common European issue. One Russian senator criticised MEPs. China's embattled property giant Evergrande is due to resume trading on the Hong Kong stock market. The company has warned that there is no guarantee it will be able to meet its financial obligations. Celia Hatton has this report.
Evergrande suspended trading in Hong Kong in early October as it struggled to find ways to cope with its $300 billion in debt. It's due to begin trading again, although the company's outlook is still grim. A plan to sell a majority stake in its property services unit for $2.6 billion has fallen through. Last week, a possible sale of Evergrande's once prized Hong Kong headquarters building also failed to materialize. China's top officials have repeatedly tried to reassure investors that the country will be able to manage problems in the property market. But with Evergrande's mounting debts and 800 unfinished properties in mainland China alone, uncertainty looms.
World News from the BBC. The Organization of American States has urged Nicaragua to release 5 presidential candidates and other political prisoners arrested ahead of next month's elections. In a statement, the OAS Permanent Council said it was alarmed at the detentions, which it says will undermine the election, in which President Daniel Ortega is seeking a 4th consecutive term. The resolution has the approval of 26 countries. A series of explosions has taken place at a base in southern Syria used by US forces. Some reports suggest there may have been a drone attack. There are no reports of casualties. It's not clear who was responsible. At least 27 people were killed earlier on Wednesday in 2 attacks elsewhere in Syria. Britain and New Zealand have agreed on a new trade deal after 16 months of negotiations. London and Wellington said the deal would cut red tape for businesses and end tariffs on exports. Trade between the two countries was worth a little over $3 billion last year, but is expected to grow. Experts in the US state of Florida are investigating whether suspected human remains found in a park belong to Brian Laundrie. He's the boyfriend of a young woman found murdered in Wyoming last month. Gabby Petito, who kept her travel blog, went missing weeks earlier while on a road trip with Mr. Laundrie. FBI Special Agent Michael McPherson gave this news update.
Earlier today, investigators found what appears to be human remains, along with personal items, such as a backpack and notebook belonging to Brian Laundrie. These items were found in an area that up until recently have been underwater. Our evidence response team is on scene using all available forensic resources to process the area. It's likely the team will be on scene for several days.
BBC News.